My name is Lu Ding. I'm 19, a university freshman studying geological exploration. I'm also a traveler from another world, and I carry something called a monster containment prison, my golden finger. My parents are dead, so I pay for everything myself with scholarships and government aid. When summer break came, I needed both money and an internship report, so I found a job as a geological surveyor. 8,000 yuan a month, plus an internship certificate. Perfect. During the interview, I talked about feng shui, dragon veins, and old building taboos. The supervisor was impressed and hired me on the spot. I didn't offer to read anyone's fortune. I didn't want to mess up and lose the job. I worked hard for almost a month. Then one evening, right before payday, the workers dug up a huge stone. Red liquid was leaking from a crack in it, looking just like blood. Everyone panicked. I ran over, excited. I'd been waiting for something like this ever since I came to this world. I'd studied old texts and metaphysics for years, preparing for the day I'd meet a real monster. This could finally be it. The project manager, Luo Wamping, pulled me aside and asked what I thought. Honestly, I'd only read about bleeding stones in books. I'd never seen one. But I didn't care about identifying it first. I grabbed a drill. If it bleeds, I can deal with it. The workers tried to stop me. Some said it might be a Tai Sui spirit. Some said we'd bring bad luck. I pushed back. We couldn't delay the project over a rock. I put the pressure on manager Luo, and finally he gave the order. Drill. I grinned and started drilling. Red liquid splashed onto my clothes. The workers backed away, looking at me like I was crazy. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but because my golden finger still wasn't reacting. Then a big chunk of stone broke off, and I saw two closed eyes buried inside the rock. Before anyone could move, the eyes opened. Everyone screamed and ran, even manager Luo. But then he saw me still standing there, frozen, and he came back to grab me. Lu, let's go. That thing's a monster. I shook off manager Luo's hand and turned the drill back on. No way I was running. I aimed right at those open eyes and drilled in hard. Red liquid splattered all over me, and the stone let out a horrible scream. I laughed. This was definitely a monster. A stone that bleeds and screams. What else could it be? I'd spent over 10 years getting ready for this moment. While other kids watched cartoons, I was forcing myself through horror movies to toughen my nerves. I'd seen every kind of scary thing on screen. Also that when the real deal showed up, I wouldn't flinch. And I didn't. With a loud crack, the stone split in two. Then something happened in my mind. Pages of a book started turning. Monster Containment Registry. Contain monster, Nanshan stone spirit, unborn. Reward, the way of the axe. Nothing cannot be cut. Warmth flooded through my body. A new power was growing inside me. After all these years, my golden finger had finally awakened. I dropped the drill and sat on the ground. Luo Wamping handed me a cigarette with shaking hands. I took a long drag and smiled. Brother Luo, can I get a raise? He gave me 20,000 yuan on the spot. Bonus and salary together. The money hit my phone right away. Sitting there, I thought about what I'd just killed. The Nanshan stone spirit. I actually knew that name from my previous life. There was an old book called Zibuyu that told the story of a stone that cultivated for 10,000 years but never reached enlightenment. It was dangerous and tricky. If this one had already been born, 100 of me couldn't have beaten it. But it was still unborn, trapped in stone. Lucky me. Now I could feel a new power inside me, a sharp, cutting force. I didn't know how strong it was yet, but I'd test it soon. I looked at the broken stone pieces. No idea what they were good for, but something that old had to be valuable. I loaded the fragments into a cart, pushed it back to my dorm, stuffed them all into my suitcase, and headed to my tiny rented room. My plan was clear now. I didn't need to go back to the construction site. My golden finger was awake. From now on, I was hunting monsters. Money would come on its own. What I didn't know was that right after I left, two people in uniform showed up at the site looking for me. They flashed national security badges and scared Luo Wamping so badly, he dropped to his knees and told them everything, showed them the surveillance footage too. He didn't even dare to warn me. I made it back to my apartment complex, dragging the suitcase full of stone pieces. I'd lived here for 5 years, a tiny one-bedroom for 300 yuan a month, arranged by social welfare after I left the orphanage. Not fancy, but cheap. Now that I had money and would keep earning more, I decided to give up the place for someone who needed it. Tonight would be my last night here. I showered, then examined a piece of the broken stone. Besides some dried blood, it looked like any ordinary rock. Medicine? Forging? I had no idea what to do with it. I gave up and went to the balcony to fold clothes for tomorrow's move. That's when I noticed someone standing in the bamboo grove behind the building. Our eyes met. Then the figure slowly raised its hand, pointing upward, counting floors. Counting my floor. I felt my blood boil. I'd just gotten my power, and already someone was coming for me. Stop counting. I live in 1503. Come up if you dare. Then I realized that thing wasn't human. It rushed toward the building at impossible speed, long dark hair floating around its body. No person could move like that or grow hair that long. I got even more excited. 19 years of nothing, and now 2 monsters in one night? I put on my shoes and went to the stairwell. Better to fight where I had room. I watched the motion sensor lights click on floor by floor, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. When the 14th floor lit up, I swung my arm. The invisible force cut through the metal railing like butter and left deep marks in the wall. The creature slammed into the wall, plaster crumbling around it. A deep gash ran across its chest, but instead of blood, tangled vines and tiny wriggling tendrils spilled out. It was over 2 meters tall, completely black, covered in long dark hair. Its face looked like a dried mask with 2 glowing yellow eyes. Ugly, but nothing I couldn't handle. Let's see if your neck is harder than your chest. I slashed again. It ducked, but wasn't fast enough. Half its head came off. It roared so loud the whole building must have heard. I chased it. It tried to run, stumbling and desperate. I cut it down from the balcony, landing on the ground outside. One more slash split it in half. Then I cut the top half into 4 pieces, just to be sure. My golden finger activated again. Contained creature, wuxiang. Reward, the state of forgetting form. Harmony between heaven and man, transcending self and ego. I remembered the name from old texts. Wuxiang was described as a water spirit or mountain demon. But the reward wasn't about the creature. It gave me the ability to enter a state of perfect unity with the world around me, something most people could only stumble into by accident. I could now do it whenever I wanted. 2 monsters in one night. 2 new powers. Not bad for my first day. What I didn't notice was that 2 people had been watching me, the same ones from national security who'd been looking for me. They stood there completely stunned. If killing the stone spirit could be called luck, what I just did to the wuxiang was pure strength. Even they couldn't have done it. Hey, you're Lu Ding, right? I turned around. I'd noticed these 2 earlier, but was too busy with the monster. They hadn't panicked at all during the fight, which told me they weren't ordinary people. I'm Lu Ding. Who are you? The man introduced himself as Zhou Jie, and the woman as Long Shanshan, trainee investigators from Bureau 749. That name sent a jolt through me. Bureau 749 was famous and mysterious in both this life and my previous one. They wanted to talk about what happened at the construction site. I invited them upstairs. When I went to collect the monster's body, it was gone. Long Shanshan told me it was a wood spirit. They returned to the earth after death. That was disappointing. I could have used those remains. Upstairs, Zhou Jie noticed the stone fragments I'd laid out in the living room and warned me not to display them. He said the Nanshan stone was a rare natural essence that strongly attracts spirits and monsters. That wooden creature had probably come because of it. My first thought was, great, I should carry it around and let more monsters find me. Long Shanshan read my face immediately. Don't. If something truly terrifying comes, you won't even have time to run. Fine. I put the stone away. Then the real conversation started. Zhou Jie turned on a recorder and began asking questions. He explained that people like me are called refiners of qi, basically cultivators. Everyone has hidden talent, but it only activates through a strong experience or through something called purification, where a rare natural treasure awakens your potential. The Nanshan stone was exactly that kind of treasure. My cutting ability came from absorbing its power during my awakening. He asked if I'd noticed a second talent of my own. This was perfect. Their explanation lined up nicely with my golden finger, and I didn't have to explain the monster containment prison at all. I could just say my future abilities were my personal talent. I asked if I could absorb power from treasures again. Zhou Jie said no. That only works the first time. You can learn techniques later, but nothing feels as natural as your awakened ability. Then he got to the real point. Bureau 749 had two options for awakened people like me. Option 1. Join as a trainee investigator. 30,000 yuan a month, mission bonuses, access to cultivation techniques, mentor guidance, weapon permits, and cooperation from local authorities. After 10 missions, I'd become a full investigator at 50,000 a month. Option 2. Don't join, but check in monthly, never harm society, and never leave the country. The choice was obvious. The government had supported me my whole life. Housing, school, everything. Joining 749 meant a real salary, real training, and a chance to cultivate properly. That last part interested me most. You mentioned cultivation, I said. What exactly do you mean by that? Zhou Jie explained that to truly cultivate, I needed special techniques and resources, things only available through Unit 749 or rare cultivation sects that almost never took new people. New members of 749 got one free basic cultivation method as a welcome benefit. I want to join, I said immediately. I already had my cutting power and the state of forgetting form. But if I could actually cultivate on top of that, no way I was passing that up. I packed my suitcase and followed Zhou Jie to the car. Before leaving, I asked about the wrecked corridor in my building. He said someone would fix it better than before. Good enough for me. We drove out of the city, through a tunnel, and came out in a mountain valley. A hidden base. I registered, answered questions, and said goodbye to Zhou Jie and Long Shanshan at a small door. They had their own patrol duties to get back to. A staff member led me down a corridor with glass walls on both sides. Behind the glass were specimens of strange creatures, all different shapes, some terrifying, some beautiful. My heart ached a little. If I'd defeated all of them myself, imagine the rewards. The staff member brought me to a room and explained the system. Every new recruit took an entry assessment on the first day of the lunar month. Results determined everything: dormitory, rewards, mission access. Average meant an 8-person dorm and no real missions. Good meant a 4-person dorm and assisting on missions. Excellent meant a 2-person dorm and leading non-combat missions. Perfect meant a single room, a powerful pill that opened all energy channels, and direct access to monster containment missions without supervision. You have 1 month to prepare, he said. 1 month. No chance. I'd waited 19 years already. I arrived before midnight. I said, that means I technically joined last month. I'm taking the test tomorrow. The staff member looked at me like I was crazy. He said most people wanted more time to train and get stronger first. I shook my head. Register me. I'll take it tomorrow. He gave up arguing and handed me a phone with the 749 app installed. I could log in and check available materials. I wasn't waiting another day. That night, I couldn't sleep. I spent hours on the 749 app, learning everything I could. I found out about cultivation levels, awakening, reflection, spirit sea, divine palace, fate keeper, earth observer, sky observer, and probably more beyond my clearance. I read about strange creatures and rare treasures. I even found information about the Nanshan stone spirit. The red liquid inside was earth essence, useful for awakening potential, and the stone itself could be used to forge weapons. Real treasure. I fell asleep wondering what kind of weapon to make. The next morning, a staff member took me to the assessment site, a sunken arena the size of a football field with dozens of people already inside. Spectators lined the edges, carrying all kinds of weapons, chatting about the test. The rules were simple. 1 hour, 10 defeats to pass. 11 to 40 was average, 41 to 70 good, 71 to 99 excellent, and 100 or more was perfect. People were talking about the favorites. A girl named Lu Yun with a shadow-stepping ability and an enchanted blade, and a guy named Chu Hao with vine armor and wood control powers. Both had awakened during some incident at an old town where most of their club members died. I recognized the names. They were from my university. Lu Yun was a senior and president of the Ancient Culture Club. Chu Hao was a freshman like me. Small world. When I stepped into the arena, everyone stared. 64 became 65. The whispers started immediately. He just awakened. He's not ready. He'll regret it. Young people are too reckless. One guy was especially annoying, going on about how newcomers think they're the main character without knowing their limits. I couldn't help myself. You sound like you're speaking from experience. Did reality prove you wrong? That shut him up. Then Chu Hao noticed me. Lu Yin wanted to come say hello, but Chu Hao stopped her. loudly enough for me to hear. He just joined. He's overconfident. His results won't be good. Let's focus on ourselves. The arrogance in his eyes bothered me more than the words. He didn't even know me, and he was already predicting my failure to my face. I flicked my finger. A sharp wave of energy hit his vine armor and sent him flying. He crashed to the ground, gasping, a deep-cut mark on his chest plate. Mind your own business, I said. Next time you can't control your mouth, you might lose a few teeth. Lu Yun rushed to help him up. When she saw the damage on his armor, her eyes went wide. They'd tested that armor before. Even a demon blade couldn't scratch it like that. I did it with one finger. Lu Yun tried to scold me. Aren't you going too far? He only said a few words. I crossed my arms. Yeah, I'm going too far. So what? I hated that excuse. He was just joking. No? He ran his mouth. I hit him for it. Simple. She wanted to fight back, but knew she couldn't. Her strength was about the same as Chu Hao's. If he couldn't block my attack, neither could she. A voice echoed through the hall. No fighting between candidates. Assessment starts in 5 minutes. I could hear the crowd outside buzzing. Some called me arrogant. Others said Chu Hao had it coming because he'd been looking down on everyone since he arrived. I didn't care either way. When the 5 minutes passed, wooden figures rose from the ground, 2 meters tall with strange faces. Hundreds of them. My face lit up. Come on. I swung my arm and sent out a horizontal slash, 10 meters wide. More than a dozen wooden figures split cleanly in half. No reward message appeared in my mind. These things were too weak to count for my golden finger. A little disappointing, but fine. The test was easy. These wooden creatures were just a bit taller, tougher, and faster than normal people. Nothing more. I moved through them like I was cutting vegetables. Every step, every gesture sent out blades of force. Wood chips flew everywhere. I grabbed one by the head and crushed it to dust with dozens of tiny slashes through my palm. 10 minutes in, I'd already passed 80. The number kept climbing. I had no idea what people outside were saying, but apparently they were losing their minds. Meanwhile, Lu Yun was doing well with her enchanted blade, over 30 kills. But I was already approaching 200. She thought she was far above the other trainees. Today she learned differently. By the end, there was no question. The test was too simple for me. I just kept swinging and cutting, wondering how high the number would go. By the end, the test didn't matter anymore. I was just using the wooden dummies to sharpen my real combat skills. I activated my formless state, the unity of heaven and man, and every strike got faster, sharper, more precise. My combat experience was growing in real time. I didn't know it then, but the 749 managers were watching from an observation room, completely stunned. Apparently, they couldn't believe someone who awakened yesterday was already entering the unity of heaven and man state. They were laughing about how I was basically an elementary school test for a high school student. Already stronger than most full investigators, but still technically an intern who needed 10 missions to get promoted. When time ran out, I checked the screen. I was the only one with a perfect score. Lu Yun got excellent. Chu Hao only managed average. Without his vine armor working properly, he couldn't dodge well enough. I noticed he couldn't even look up. He glanced at me once and realized I hadn't looked at him the entire time. I heard him mutter something about being a clown. I wasn't trying to humiliate him. I just didn't think about him at all. After everyone left, I received my reward, a small box with a green pill sealed in wax. The Enlightenment Pill. I'd read about it on the app the night before. It opens all 365 energy points in the body and pushes you from the first cultivation stage, the opening realm, into the second stage, the radiant realm. After that comes the spiritual sea, then the divine palace. Each stage needs both talent and resources. That's why joining 749 was the right call. Without them, where would I find pills and rare materials? I could earn contribution points through missions and exchange them for whatever I needed. While I stood there thinking, an older man approached me. Minister donghua from the logistics department. In cultivation terms, his department was like the scripture pavilion. Every technique, resource, and pill exchange went through him. A powerful person to know. He offered to walk me to the logistics department and help me choose my first cultivation method. Apparently there were many options, and picking wrong could set me back. Not everyone got this kind of guidance, but my test performance had earned it. On the way, we talked. I told him a bit about my life. The orphanage, surviving on my own since 14, working through school. He patted my shoulder and said, "You're a real man." Minister Deng took me to a building shaped like an open book, the technique library. Shelves everywhere, packed with training manuals. I browsed a few. The ape strike technique didn't fit my body. The shadow flame manual sounded interesting, but I wanted to keep looking. Then Deng handed me an old scroll. The moment I unrolled it, I heard thunder and smelled metal. A winged bear lunged at me. I raised my arm to block before realizing it was just an illusion. He explained it was the flying bear visualization chart. The flying bear was an ancient beast that stood on the mountain dividing north and south. In the north it brought chaos, in the south it brought order. The chart wasn't a normal technique. Everyone who studied it would gain different insights depending on their nature. I could tell this was something special, far beyond what was on the shelves. I took it. Use the enlightenment pill while visualizing the flying bear, he told me. That way you'll fully absorb its effects. Back in my single dormitory, 200 square meters, not bad. I spread the chart on the table, swallowed the pill, and entered my unity of heaven and man state. I fell into deep meditation. 2 days passed. When I opened my eyes, all 365 energy points in my body had opened. A wild, crushing power surged through me. I'd created my own combat method from the visualization, the flying bear strike technique. Pure destruction, fierce and unstoppable. I owed Minister Deng for that. Later I found out the chart was worth 500 contribution points. He'd just given it to me. With my strength greatly increased, I opened the 749 app to find my first mission. One caught my eye immediately. The 816 family tragedy. A family of 6 found dead with severe injuries, blood loss, faces damaged. Unit 749 traced it to an entity called the Black Old Lady, a black bear spirit that had gained spiritual power after death. My job, find it and eliminate or capture it. My technique was the flying bear strike. This thing was a bear spirit. Both bears. If that wasn't fate, I didn't know what was. The reward was 20 contribution points and 100,000 yuan for the team leader. But 749 rules said investigators had to work in pairs, no solo missions. I needed a partner. I posted on the forum, intern investigator Lu Ding, looking for an assistant. Quick thinker preferred. Combat skills not required. Just protect yourself and help out. The comments came fast. Some people called me arrogant. Others told them to check my assessment score first. Within 2 days, my name had spread through all of Unit 749. People dug up my story, joined one day, took the test the next, got a perfect score. Dozens of people applied to be my mission partner. I picked an intern named Yin Fifan. My first question, do you have a car? I can drive, but that was in my past life. In this one, I don't even have a license. I have one, he said. A sturdy big Jeep. He met me at exit A of the base, opened the passenger door for me, and handed me a bottle of water. I liked him already. On the drive, he told me he'd already studied the mission file. There were 3 suspects connected to the murdered family. First, Tong Yong, 21 years old, former neighbor of the victims. His father had fought with the family years ago and later died. He had a grudge. Second, Zhao Haichuan, the ex-husband of one of the victims. A former drug user who kept harassing the family for money after getting out of prison. Third, Fan Wurue, ex-boyfriend of one of the victims. Her father had disapproved and even fought him. Then Yin Fifan laid out his analysis. Fan Wurue was unlikely. He truly loved the girl and didn't seem capable of wiping out a whole family. Zhao Haichuan only cared about money, and killing everyone would gain him nothing. Plus he was old, making him a poor target for possession by the Black Old Lady spirit. That left Tong Yong. Quiet, kept to himself, but nearly killed someone in a fight during high school. Young enough to be possessed without lasting damage. The most likely suspect. I was impressed. This was exactly the kind of partner I wanted, someone who thinks ahead and saves me time. I nodded. Let's go find Tong Yong. If he's been touched by the Black Old Lady, I can sense it. My flying bear technique came with a useful side effect. The flying bear loved hunting monsters. I could tell if someone was normal just by getting close to them. On the way, I asked Yin Fifan about his background. He said he was just a student who loved watching movies. He'd learned to analyze situations from films and documentaries. It sounded strange, but it reminded me of a movie from my past life where the main character used his movie knowledge to outsmart everyone. This kid had real talent. I asked him what his awakened ability was. Yin Fifan told me his talent was walking through walls. He'd awakened it after being swallowed by a wall during a supernatural event at home. He panicked, ran, and broke free with the ability. He could also burrow underground, but he couldn't swim, so he was afraid of sinking. I laughed. I told him to learn swimming and promised to call him for future missions. His eyes lit up. I liked him. He was a bit timid but smart, didn't argue much, and could phase through solid objects. That might come in handy someday. We arrived at a milk tea shop where Donghua worked his summer job. The moment I walked in, I caught a faint fishy smell. Something was off. Donghua wasn't there. Yin Fifan ordered 2 lemon teas and casually chatted up the girl working alone. He was smooth about it, complained about Donghua leaving her with all the work, bought her a milk tea, complimented her. She opened right up. She told us Donghua had quit suddenly yesterday without notice. Before leaving, she'd seen him talking to a beautiful woman, then getting picked up in a sports car. She figured he was secretly rich. Back in the car, Yin Fifan was already on his phone. He'd asked the task force to pull surveillance footage. Within minutes, he had answers. The sports car belonged to the G group. The driver was Ji Feiyu, the eldest daughter of the Ji family. She and Donghua had also met at a mountain goods market on August 17th. Her younger sister, Ji Yinshuang, had been affected by some kind of negative energy. Doctors found nothing, but a traditional medicine practitioner said her energy was low. On August 18th, when the murders were discovered, Donghua was questioned as a suspect but had an alibi. Ji Feiyu had come to support him. The police let him go. Then Yin Fifan got excited. "Brother Liu, this is like a scene straight out of a supernatural novel," he laid it out. If Donghua carried the black old lady's energy, he could probably see the negative influence on Ji Feiyu from living with her sick sister. Ji Feiyu was starting to trust him. She probably wanted his help removing whatever was affecting Ji Yinshuang. And today, the Ji family had invited a skilled disciple from some sect to examine the sister. Yin Fifan predicted Donghua would show up, outperform the sect disciple with the black old lady's power, and make a big show of it. I had to admit, this kid really knew how to read a story. Yin Fifan kept going with his theory. He figured Donghua would use the sect disciple as a stepping stone, show off his power, win the Ji family's trust and money, and maybe even charm both sisters. He said the whole thing was straight out of a supernatural novel, too cliché to miss. I told him he was a genius. He got embarrassed and said no. The plot was just too obvious. Then he pointed out something smart. Donghua was acting like the world revolved around him, never considering that the government might have departments handling exactly this kind of thing. He was getting carried away. "Let's go watch the show," I said. "When he's at his most confident, I'll take him down." Yin Fifan hit the gas with a grin. "Brother Liu, you're so naughty." He caught himself and tried to fix it. "I mean handsome and charming, like a powerful villain. Then you'd be the little strategist working for the villain," I said. We both laughed. Outside the Ji family's villa, Yin Fifan pulled out a bronze mirror, a small magic tool he'd exchanged for contribution points. It let us see what was happening inside. Donghua was there, dressed in white, looking confident and handsome. Across from him stood Bai Xiao, a healer from the Bai family, one of the 5 famous northern immortal families that specialized in medicine. The Ji family chairman had hired her to examine his daughter Ji Yinshuang, but his older daughter Ji Feiyu had also brought Donghua without telling him. Things got tense fast. Bai Xiao was insulted that the family brought a second opinion. Donghua sneered at her, calling her a kid who should go train for a few more years. Yin Fifan was fuming. "Look at this guy showing off. He's not even older than us, and he's acting like some ancient master." Then Bai Xiao challenged Donghua. "Whoever cured the girl first wins." Just then, Ji Feiyu walked in wearing a tight dress and glasses, looking stunning. Donghua immediately changed his posture, put his hands in his pockets, and said smoothly, "Ladies first." Yin Fifan lost it. "Brother Liu, can we just punch him now? That was so cringy I can't take it." Honestly, neither could I. We'd planned to just watch the show, but Donghua's peacock act pushed us over the edge. We opened the car doors at the same time and headed straight for the villa. I smashed through the wall of the villa. Everyone inside saw the image of a winged bear charging forward, my flying bear technique at work. I grabbed Donghua by the neck, lifted him up, and slammed him into the floor so hard the expensive tiles shattered. Then I held him in the air. "You think you're so cool?" I was outside listening and cringing so hard my toes curled. Call out the black old lady inside you. Now, blood poured from his mouth and nose. One hit was all it took to break him. Inside Dongyang's body, the black old lady was screaming. Flying bear? He's flying bear. I won't go out. I won't go out. She was a beast spirit too, but a weak one with poor talent. The flying bear was the ancestor of her ancestors. She didn't stand a chance, and she knew it. Dongyang's confidence crumbled instantly. Everything he had, the arrogance, the swagger, the idea that he was the main character of this world, all came from the black old lady. She'd encouraged him to kill the Zhou family, all 6 of them. He thought he was untouchable. I surrender, he begged. Don't kill me. I smiled. Too late. I split him in 2. A cloud of black smoke burst from the body and formed into a huge black bear, running and screaming. I raised my hand. Break. The bear shattered into nothing. Not even a scream left behind. My golden finger activated. Contain monster, black old lady. Reward, power of the bear. Strength as heavy as 1,000 caddies, capable of pushing mountains with a palm. 1,000 caddies, about 500 kilograms. Terrifying for a person, but honestly, even a tractor can pull more. I told myself not to complain. Small gains add up. Yin Fifan stepped forward with a handkerchief for my hands, then pulled out confidentiality contracts for the Ji family and by Xiao Xiao. He was smooth and professional. Told them they couldn't reveal what happened, and that 749 would compensate their property damage. Bai Xiao Xiao was shaking. She asked, "Don't you 749 people usually contain and imprison monsters?" I shrugged. "I'm different. I don't like keeping them alive." She went pale and stopped talking. Chairman Ji Hong kept his composure enough to ask if I could erase his daughter's memory of everything, like in the movies. I nodded at Yin Fifan. Unit 749 had methods for that, with strict rules. Video recording required, 2 investigators present, no exceptions. Yin Fifan pulled out a small paper strip and approached Ji Feiyu. She suddenly snapped out of her shock, threw her hands over her face, and stepped back. "No. Please, don't erase my memory." I decided not to erase Ji Feiyu's memory. She didn't want it, and I wasn't going to force her. I was about to leave when Chairman Ji asked me to stay a bit longer. He said he didn't need compensation for the damage. That saved me some of my monthly quota. Every intern investigator only gets 5 million per month for property damage, so saving where I can is smart. Ji Hong asked Bai Xiao Xiao to treat his younger daughter. She looked at me nervously, like she needed permission. I told her to just do her job. While we waited, Ji Feiyu sat on the sofa staring at me. Yin Fifan leaned over and whispered, "Brother Liu, she might have Stockholm Syndrome. Plus you're handsome and your methods were brutal. She might be catching feelings." I looked at her and asked, "Do I look good?" She nodded, then quickly shook her head. Then we heard screaming from the other room. I rushed in. Dark mist filled Ji Yinshuang's bedroom. A white-clad female ghost was floating inside, and Bai Xiao Xiao was trembling. She couldn't handle it. I smashed through the door and sent hundreds of slashes cutting through the fog. The ghost screamed, saw my 749 badge, and hissed at me. "I remember your scent. I will come find you." Then she vanished. My face went grim. Being targeted by a ghost was bad news. You can't watch your back forever. Ji Yinshuang woke up on the bed. The moment she opened her eyes and saw me, I asked her directly where she'd met that ghost. "Baiyao Ancient Town," she said. "I went to see the porcelain there, and then I started dreaming about her." I told Yin Fifan to check if there were any 749 missions connected to Baiyao Ancient Town. There weren't. Didn't matter. I'd go anyway. That ghost threatened me. Me, who waited 19 years for my power to awaken. Nobody gets to watch me from the shadows. But first, I needed to go back to the bureau and submit my mission report. Chairman Ji offered dinner. I refused. No time for that. We drove off. Behind us, the Ji family was left to deal with the mess. Blood on the floor, a dead body, 2 crying sisters, and Bai Xiao Xiao explaining to them what Unit 749 was and what I did for a living. Apparently, she told them I was quite fierce and brutal and scary to look at, like tearing people apart alive. Fair enough. I wasn't going to argue with that. What I didn't know was that the ghost I'd scattered had a body back in Baiyao Ancient Town, a woman in black gauze who coughed up blood after I broke her spell. She had a huge bodyguard and told him not to act rashly. They had some plan involving a flying centipede and didn't want trouble yet. She'd deal with me later, she said. We'll see about that. Back at the 749 base, it was nighttime, the busiest hour for investigators since monsters are more active at night. As we walked toward the mission hall to report, Yin Fifan suddenly slowed down and said he needed the bathroom. I could tell something was wrong. I said I'd wait. Before he could leave, a guy named Sun Changming grabbed him and called over another guy, Du Guang. Du Guang strolled down the steps and started complaining that Yin Fifan hadn't washed his clothes or cleaned up. I stood there listening and understood immediately. Yin Fifan was the weakest in his dorm room, so these guys made him do all their chores. Classic bullying. Yin Fifan looked at Du Guang with desperate eyes, hoping he'd at least behave in front of me. He didn't want me to see him like this. Du Guang raised his hand to slap Yin Fifan's neck. I knocked him across the room before his hand came down. He folded into the wall like a chair. Stop pretending, I said. I turned to Sun Changming. Let go of his arm, he said. Lu Ding, this isn't my business. You know me. Knowing you makes it easier. I slapped him. He spun 3 times in the air before hitting the ground. Since you know me, how dare you bully my assistant? From now on, you two wash his clothes. Understand? Sun Changming nodded, holding his face. I'll wash. Du Guang sat in the corner looking resentful. I didn't like that look. I let a shadow of the flying bear appear, a massive clawed hand ripping through the darkness with a bloody mouth behind it. Show me that look again. He curled up, kicking his legs against the wall with nowhere to go. I give up. I'll clean the dorm and wash everything. I couldn't understand people like him. He knew he couldn't win, but still wanted to look tough. What was the point? I turned toward the stairs. Are you still afraid to go? Yin Fifan rushed to catch up. No, Brother Lu. Let's go complete the task. Next time, go pee beforehand. Got it, Brother Lu. At the mission handover desk, the staff asked for the black old lady's body. I told him she was dead. He was shocked. An intern killing something like that was unheard of. When he saw my name, it all clicked. He told me I was 9 missions away from becoming a full investigator and suggested I try capturing monsters alive next time, since live captures count extra. Fair enough. I try to be more careful. Yin Fifan was glowing. He said the girl at the window smiled at him for the first time ever. He credited me for it. I teased him about the milk tea girl from earlier. I told him I was heading to Bayao Ancient Town tonight. That ghost had threatened me, and I wasn't going to sit around waiting for an ambush. Yin Fifan insisted on coming, said he'd already memorized the satellite maps and all the town information. He reminded me he was great at running away even if he couldn't fight. I agreed, mostly because I didn't have a car. On the drive, Yin Fifan told me about the town. Bayao was famous for its white porcelain, paper-thin, incredibly detailed, historically a tribute item for emperors. Now it was a tourist destination with old buildings and rich culture. What we didn't know was that another team of 749 investigators, 2-star rank, had already arrived at the town ahead of us. 2 fighters named Wen Yuchuan and Yin Feng had found the targets. A muscular man called Ma Chi and the spirit woman, Dan Lingying. The same ghost who'd threatened me at the Ji family villa, now in physical form. A fierce battle broke out inside a guest house. Swords, hammers, palm strikes, black mist. The fight smashed through windows and spilled into the streets, with Ma Chi and Dan Lingying trying to escape. That's when our jeep rolled into the street. I caught her scent immediately, the same one from the Ji family. My eyes locked on her. Killing intent filled my chest. Crash into her, I said. Yin Fifan didn't hesitate. Which one, Brother Lu? The woman. Floor it. Got it. I bought this car because it's tough. He slammed the gas pedal and drove straight at Dan Lingying. The headlights hit her face, and she raised her hand to block. I had her, but then the big bald guy, Ma Chi, shoved her out of the way and took the hit himself. He was tall enough to throw his body onto the windshield instead of going under. He looked up at me through the broken glass. I was furious. You like protecting people, huh? I grabbed his bald head and pulled him through the windshield into the car. Then I started punching. Every hit carried the power of the bear, 10,000 pounds per fist. His tough internal energy meant nothing. It was like punching through paper. Blood and broken pieces poured from his mouth. He couldn't fight back at all. Next to me, Yin Fifan pulled out a small knife and went at Ma Chi's lower body. Blood went everywhere inside the car. Ma Chi screamed at the spirit woman to run. She fled. By the time 2 investigators, Wen Yuchuan and Yin Feng, caught up, the jeep had stopped shaking. We opened the doors and stepped out, both covered in blood. I tossed away Ma Chi's arm. I'd torn it off during the fight. Yin Fifan swung his now dull knife and complained about how tough the guy was to kill. The two investigators stared at us like we were aliens. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Ma Chi was called Tuata Luohan because bullets couldn't pierce his body, and when Yu Chuan had barely managed to scratch him with a sword. We'd killed him inside a jeep. Yin Fifan saluted them. "Hello, senior investigators." I didn't bother with greetings. I sniffed the air, caught the woman's scent, and told Yin Fifan to check if his car still worked. Then I jumped onto the rooftops and chased after her. Behind me, I heard Yin Feng questioning Yin Fifan about our cultivation levels. Yin Fifan told them I'd taken the enlightenment pill and scored perfect on the assessment. The senior investigators couldn't process it. When Yin Fifan warned them that I might tear the woman apart, they stopped asking questions and started running. I caught up to her in the woods outside town. She turned and called out, asking if there was a misunderstanding between us. Then she realized I wasn't behind her anymore. I'd moved ahead. I hit her so hard she flew into a tree. Her arm snapped. Blood poured from her mouth. I crouched in front of her, smiling. "Misunderstanding? You threatened me today. How could you forget so quickly?" She finally recognized me. "You're the one who broke my spell." She tried to claw at my eyes. A gentle breeze passed. Her arm shattered into pieces and scattered on the ground. She screamed. I looked at her. She wasn't some powerful monster or ancient evil spirit. Just a person. Disappointing. "So tell me," I said. "Should I tear you apart or cut you into pieces?" I was disappointed. She was just a person, not a monster or ghost. No reward from my golden finger. I'd driven all this way for nothing special. I looked at her. "Why do you have to be a person?" Then an old voice echoed through the trees. "Little one, give the old man face. Let spirit girl go." I didn't move. I looked down at the woman and said, "Hurry up, be happy. Someone's coming to save you." Hope flickered in her eyes. Then I cut off her head. I stood up and spread my arms toward the empty woods. "Sorry, senior. I accidentally offended you. Come out and punish me. I'm very scared right now." "You're asking for death," the old voice shouted. Yes, yes. Come out and kill me." Nothing happened. Nobody appeared. Not even a shadow. I clicked my tongue. In novels, someone always jumps out at this point. But real life isn't a novel. So I stopped waiting. The whole time I'd been stalling, I was using my flying bear technique to locate the old man's hiding spot. I clapped my hands forward and sent 100 slashes sweeping across a wide area. Trees, bushes, stones, everything shattered. A muffled grunt. Blood in the air. A shadow flew up into the sky. "Found you, senior." I sent a real killing strike. The old woman, because that's what she was, threw out a magic tool shaped like a gold ingot. It grew large enough to block my attack, but the slash left a huge mark on it. She landed on the ground, out of breath. Her tone changed completely. Suddenly she was polite, apologetic, offering to kowtow. Then she mentioned a treasure, a wind-stabilizing pearl, in exchange for her life. That got my attention. I knew what a wind-stabilizing pearl was. It came from a flying centipede, a legendary beast that eats snake brains and can fly through Earth. The pearl was actually its inner core, needing human refinement to complete. And to grow the centipede's power, they'd need to feed it rare snakes descended from human snake demon bloodlines, and kill live humans at the right time. Everything clicked. The G family girl's strange illness, the spirit woman, the murders, all connected to raising this flying centipede. I wanted the pearl, but I wanted the centipede even more. If I killed it, my golden finger would probably give me a good reward. My face softened. The old woman relaxed. "Where's the flying centipede?" I asked. She pointed at a mountain valley nearby. The Heavenly Justice sect kept it there. She also quickly blamed the dead spirit woman for all the evil deeds. "And you?" I asked. "What's your role?" She stammered. "I'm just doing odd jobs." I flicked my hand and sliced half her spiritual crown off her head. "If you don't want to say, don't. You're probably not a good person either." Was I a good person? Honestly, I didn't know. My moral lines were flexible. I hadn't done anything truly evil, but I wasn't exactly a saint. I just did what I wanted and dealt with what annoyed me. I left the old woman behind and leaped through the trees toward the mountain valley. Behind me, when Yu Chuan, Yin Feng, and Yin Fifan arrived at the scene to find Spirit Girl and the old woman already dead. From what Yin Fifan told me later, they couldn't believe it. Yin Feng said something like, We just went for a walk and didn't do anything all night. When Yuchuan called it, a little outing to see the scenery. They wanted to meet me for a drink, but I was already gone, heading straight into the valley to find the flying centipede. At the valley entrance, I ran into a fight. A 749 investigator named Shi Ingha, nicknamed the Smiling Assassin, was battling a puppet master from the Heavenly Justice sect. She was losing. The puppet master controlled small wooden puppets armed with spears, and they kept coming endlessly. Her special deadly move required someone to see her, but the puppet master stayed hidden, using puppets to fight from the shadows. He taunted her, telling her to beg for mercy. She actually did, dropped her sword and everything. But it was obviously fake, and the puppet master got flustered because he didn't know what to do with the surrender he'd asked for. While he was confused, I walked up behind him. You see? You told her to do it, and now you're unhappy. He spun and stabbed at me with a short spear. I tore his arm off. He crawled out of the bushes, terrified. I stepped on his heel and crushed it. Where is the flying centipede? He pointed toward the valley with his one remaining arm. Take me to it. That broke him completely. He started screaming, begging Shi Ingha to arrest him instead. I surrender. Don't make me go with him. I'll tell you everything. He spilled it all. They were raising flying centipedes here, cooperating with some group called the Biabao people. They'd provide the wind-stabilizing pearl, the others would provide people. Together they'd go to some place called Top Wind Mountain to catch creatures called Ji people and Ji horses. He was shaking the whole time, looking at me like I was the real monster in this valley. Shi Ingha just watched me drag the puppet master away and didn't say a word. Smart woman. The puppet master cursed her for having no backbone, but she'd already fake surrendered once tonight. She wasn't about to lecture anyone about honor. I carried him to the valley and found it crawling with poisonous insects of every kind. I shook him awake and asked where the flying centipede was. He pointed at a narrow cave in the mountain wall. I wasn't stupid enough to crawl into a tight cave where something dangerous might be waiting. So I swung the puppet master around and threw him inside. Stay alive first, then we'll talk about judgment. He screamed curses at me as he flew in. Then the screaming changed. Something was eating him. A buzzing sound erupted from the cave, like a helicopter. A dark shape shot out. It was fast, impossibly fast. It dodged my first slash and landed on a branch, crunching the puppet master's head in its massive jaws. The flying centipede. Armored, spiked, with huge pincers that glinted in the dark. Honestly, if I ignored how terrifying it was, the thing looked pretty cool. But it appeared in front of me, so it was going to die. It was fast, so I carpet-bombed the area, wide slashes covering 10 meters in every direction. Mountains and trees turned to dust. The centipede dodged with tricky angles, weaving through my attacks. That's exactly what I wanted. I stepped on a tree trunk and bent it like a bow, then launched myself forward like an arrow. My palm hit the centipede dead on. 1 strike, then 10, then 100. Rapid-fire hits that shattered its armor and tore into the soft flesh underneath. The thing shrieked as it came apart in midair. When I landed, I was covered in centipede guts. In my hand sat a small pale green pearl the size of a walnut, the inner core. My golden finger activated. Contain monster, flying centipede. Reward, wind control technique. Can calm raging winds, make clouds swirl, and control the wind to fly, soaring over mountains and rivers. I looked at the pearl in my hand and almost laughed. I'd come here partly to get this thing, and now the reward made it unnecessary. The technique was better than any magic tool. No damage to worry about, no energy drain, fully upgraded straight from my golden finger. My feet lifted off the ground. I was flying. Who could resist that? Flying was something I'd wanted my whole life. Before tonight, speed was my only weakness. Now with the wind control technique added to my cutting power, the flying bear strike, the power of the bear, and the formless state, I was an all-around fighter. Attack, close combat, strength, speed. Everything covered. I didn't even know how strong I'd become. I checked my phone. Yin Fifan had been messaging me, warning me not to fight anyone because we'd stumbled into another team's official mission. He said 3 investigators were outside the valley waiting for me. I texted back, "Don't come in. I'll be out soon." He asked about the flying centipede. I told him it was dead. When I jumped out of the woods, 4 people were standing there. Yin Fifan, Wen Yuchuan, In Feng, and Shi Ingha, the woman I'd helped earlier. They introduced themselves properly this time. The awkward topic came up fast. The flying centipede's inner core was in my pocket, but this mission originally belonged to a 6-person team who'd agreed to split everything equally. 3 of those 6, Xuanning, Meng Huaizhou, and Yu Yuan, were finishing up their part elsewhere and hadn't met me yet. 1 Yuchuan, Yin Feng, and Shiringhe all said they didn't care about the inner core. I killed it, so it was mine. But they warned me about Xuanning. He's called the Little Tyrant, when Yuchuan said. Comes from a family of cultivators, started training at 8, master of the Tyrant Spear. Strongest fighter among them. Over 20 missions, never failed. He probably won't even want the pearl, when Yuchuan continued. But he cares about face. He'll come fight you for it just to prove he can, and then hand it back. That sounded interesting. I'd never met someone from a real cultivator family. I was curious what made him different. As for the inner core, I'd already figured out what to do with it. I had the wind control technique from my golden finger, so I didn't need the wind stabilizing pearl anymore. I'd sell the core and use the money to fix Yin Fifen's Jeep. The car was wrecked, smashed windshield, blood everywhere, a dead body inside. He'd driven it into Ma Chi for me, without hesitation. The least I could do was make it right. What none of us knew was that across the city, inside Longting Building, headquarters of the Heavenly Justice Sect's local branch, a one-eyed man in a black suit was giving orders. He'd just learned that his people in Baiyao ancient town were dead, and the flying centipede's inner core was taken. Without it, they couldn't refine the wind-stabilizing pearl, couldn't reach the top of Fengshan Mountain, and couldn't catch the rare creatures they needed to pay tribute to their superiors. His order was simple. Send people to steal the inner core back from us before we made it to the 749 base. On the highway back to Yunhai, Yin Fifen and I rode in Wen Yuchuan's car, a big G he'd bought as a collateral car for just over 300,000. When Yin Fifen lifted the back seat, he found a sniper rifle and several handguns. Wen Yuchuan said he used them to shoot birds on mountain missions. Investigators at 749 could carry guns, but they weren't very useful against monsters. We talked about cars. I told Wen Yuchuan I wanted to buy one and asked about selling the flying centipede's inner core. He said it could be worth a few $100 million, hard to price exactly. I'd never seen that kind of money in my life. I turned to Yin Fifen. Once I sell it, I'm getting you a car. We don't need the old one anymore. He sat up straight. Really, Brother Liu? Of course. Then when Yuchuan's face changed. Someone doesn't want us to go back smoothly. I checked the mirror. A black convoy was flanking us on both sides. In the car next to us, a man in a pig mask made a gun gesture at his temple and laughed. When Yuchuan suggested taking the next exit to avoid fighting on the busy highway, I didn't wait. I raised my hand and slashed. The black car beside us split in two and burst into flames. I opened the door. Exit the highway quickly. I'll handle this. I jumped out and landed on the roof of another black car. The Heavenly Justice Sect people were shocked. They'd planned their ambush assuming we wouldn't dare fight on a public highway with so many witnesses. They were wrong. I tore through the roof of the car, grabbed one of them, and jumped back to our car. I pulled off his mask and asked who sent them. He started making threats. I advise you to come back, or I crushed his head before he could finish. I didn't need to hear threats. It was obviously the Heavenly Justice Sect. They wanted the inner core back. When Yuchuan jumped onto the roof beside me, he finally saw how I operated up close. He pulled out his phone to call the cleanup crew. Be careful, he said. I wasn't worried. These people had no idea what they'd walked into. Dozens of masked Heavenly Justice Sect members jumped out of their cars and landed on rooftops across the highway. Yin Feng grabbed his meteor hammer, excited for round 2. When Yuchuan drew his twin swords and asked if I had a weapon, I floated above the car roof, spread my fingers wide, and let loose countless slashes. Bodies dropped. Blood rained down. I don't need weapons. That shut everyone up, my side and theirs. Since getting the formless state, I'd kept it running constantly. Walking, eating, fighting. I was always in unity with heaven and earth, always training. My power grew every moment. The sect members froze. Their morale crumbled. Then their commander stepped forward, a man in a snake mask with thick, calloused palms. He caught Yin Feng's meteor hammer with one hand and yanked him forward. I stepped in and pushed with both palms, tens of thousands of pounds of force. He met me with his own technique, the great strength Vajra palm. Our palms collided like an explosion. The car beneath him caved in. When Yuan recognized him, Yuan Baifeng, heavenly justice sect. Yuan Baifeng was at the Spirit Sea stage, 2 levels above me. His palms could hit with nearly 10,000 pounds of force. He tore off his mask and told me to hand over what he wanted or else. I cut him off. Enough. I don't want to hear your nonsense. I activated the wind control technique and moved like a ghost. My slash came down, and he met it with his golden palm, confident that his higher level and years of practice would protect him. Half his palm came off. The panic in his eyes was satisfying. I pressed forward. The flying bear appeared behind me, a giant winged bear mirroring my movements. I pushed with everything I had. His remaining hand met mine, but it was like tofu against steel. His flesh shattered, bones punched through his shoulder, and my palm went straight through his chest and out his back. He hung there on my arm, trying to land one last hit. His strength vanished like water into sand. I didn't even flinch. Strength isn't determined by age, I told him. He coughed blood, and the life left his body. I shook the corpse off my hand and charged into the remaining sect members. It was a slaughter. None of them stayed in one piece. The cleanup crew arrived and went pale at the sight. I stood by the highway smoking a blood-stained cigarette. Infeng looked at me and said, "When we first met, I thought you were arrogant. Now I realize you were actually being polite back then." I choked on my smoke. "If you can't talk, shut up," he laughed and said after today, my name would spread across Yanhai. He wondered what nickname I'd get. Shiringha told me to take off my bloody shirt. I did, and she stared at my muscles with wide eyes until Infeng teased her about drooling. She went red and cursed him out. Videos of the highway fight spread online briefly before getting taken down. Ordinary people didn't hear much, but in the cultivator world, I became famous. They called me the corpse breaker because nobody I killed had a complete body left. Fair enough. Back at Bureau 749, I was called in for questioning. The highway fight had happened in front of too many ordinary people. They asked why I killed Spirit Girl over a simple threat. I told them she used evil magic to harm innocents, and as a 749 investigator, stopping her was my duty. They told me to lay low, no missions, stay out of sight. What if I want to go on missions? I asked. They were surprised but pleased. They offered me a patrol zone instead, my own area to watch over, where I could handle any incidents that came up. Each one would count as a completed mission. They'd assign me a zone with high supernatural activity since that's what I wanted. I chose Yin Fifan as my partner. He was easy to work with, and I didn't want to deal with a stranger. After the meeting, I was exhausted, 2 days without real sleep, covered in dried blood. I showered, messaged Wen Yuchuan about selling the wind-stabilizing pearl, and passed out. That night, I sat cross-legged on my bed and practiced the flying bear method. I absorbed spiritual energy from the world and converted it into my own power, filling my energy points one by one. Most people absorb spiritual energy through a tiny straw. With my formless state running constantly, unity with heaven and earth, I had a pump. By 9:31 p.m., I reached the 3rd stage of the bright star realm. By 11:46, the 4th. By 3 a.m., the 5th. By 7:30 in the morning, the 6th. My meridians started aching, so I stopped. One night, 6 stages. What took others months or years, I'd done while everyone else slept. As for filling the whirlpools in his orifices, this step required a strong body, natural talent, and diligent effort. Whirlpools are fragile. A careless move could damage them, so nourishing the body was essential. But Lu Ding's body was already terrifyingly strong, allowing him to fill his whirlpools with spiritual qi boldly and forcefully. The concept of losing oneself played a crucial role again. In the mode of unity with heaven and earth, Lu Ding was like Zhang Fei threading a needle, rough but precise. Though seemingly rough, every step was perfectly executed. All these conditions combined to enable Lu Ding to rapidly advance from the 1st to the 6th stage of the Bright Star Realm in just one night. His meridians couldn't handle more. Further energy transfer might damage them, especially since he had broken through multiple levels tonight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stopped his cultivation. His strength was once again enhanced. Lu Ding stretched lazily, feeling the new power within him. Time to rest and nourish myself. I'll continue cultivating once my meridians are stronger. Lu Ding said this. He was shirtless, opening his wardrobe. He didn't have many clothes, as his previous conditions were poor. Yesterday, he even stained one of his shirts. The uniform from 749 didn't look very good. Now, in his wardrobe, besides the uniform, there was only one set of clothes left. Lu Ding took out the clothes and put them on. Once the district assignment is done, I'll buy a few more sets when I go out on patrol. Just as he finished speaking, a message came through on his phone. It was about his district assignment. Dear Intern Investigator Lu Ding, your district has been assigned. Please go to the Baofan District Public Security Bureau in Yunhai City within 12 hours of receiving this notice to complete the handover. Are we working with the local police station now? That makes sense. If I patrol alone, I won't get all the information. Only the local police can quickly and efficiently gather all the news. As someone with only a household registration and no house, Lu Ding was only half a resident of Yunhai City. He had heard a lot about Baofan District. The district's name suited it. Every inch of land was valuable, bustling with activity. It was just a little less developed than the top central areas. The main reason was that land prices in Baofan District were very high, making it hard to demolish and build new structures. Decades ago, it was Yunhai's economic zone. Although it's not as prosperous now, there are still many wealthy people there. You could throw a stone and hit someone worth millions. The area was also quite chaotic. Lu Ding didn't expect to be assigned such a district. His phone buzzed with a message from Yen Fifan. Brother Lu, are you awake? I saw you were exhausted yesterday, so I didn't want to disturb you. I've been assigned a district. I bought some breakfast for you. I'll leave it at the door. When you wake up, remember to eat. I'm going to start my new job in the district now. For a while, I probably won't be able to work on missions with you. Lu Ding took a sip of water. I'm awake. Have you eaten breakfast? Brother Lu, you woke up so early? I haven't eaten yet. I'm in a bit of a rush. I want to go early so I won't be scolded by my colleagues when we start. Eat first, then go. The colleague I'll be working with is me. I won't criticize you. Lu Ding smiled as he sent a message. Yen Fifan still did his work reliably. Whether this attitude is good or bad, a sudden change might be difficult. Let's go with the flow. Brother Lu, really? Can I still fool you? Knock, knock, knock. The door was knocked on. Lu Ding stepped forward and opened the door. Yen Fifan was outside, carrying breakfast. Brother Lu, it's great that we can be assigned to the same district. I was worried I wouldn't be able to handle such a big area. After learning about his assigned district, Yen Fifan felt a bit scared. He had heard of Baofan District. It's a busy and chaotic place, full of all kinds of people, and incidents happen often. With his limited skills, being assigned there seemed like a joke. Now that he knew Lu Ding was with him, he suddenly felt better. It's okay, he's just an assistant. The real strength is Brother Lu. He loves doing odd jobs. He put on his shoe covers and entered. He took out his breakfast and set it down. Lu Ding took a bun and took a bite. There's nothing to be afraid of. Baofan District doesn't have mouths, so it can't bite you. Brother Lu, you might only know part of it.